In the early years of the 20th century, a strange affliction shadowed the American Midwest. Across a broad band of states, doctors saw the same swelling at the throat again and again. They called it goiter, and no one could say why it clung so stubbornly to this particular stretch of land. The region earned a grim nickname, the Goiter Belt. It ran through the Great Lakes, up into the pine country, along the cold rivers of Michigan. Here, children grew into adults with the telltale bulge and thought little of it, for it seemed as ordinary as the weather. The cause, it turned out, was hidden in the ground itself. Ancient glaciers had scraped these soils clean, carrying away the iodine the body needs to make its quiet hormones. The crops drew up what little remained, and the people ate a diet that had been slowly starved of a single, invisible element. In Cleveland and elsewhere, a physician named David Marine had begun to suspect the truth. He fed iodine to fish and to farm animals and watched their thyroids settle back into health. But suspicion is not proof, and a laboratory is not a city full of stubborn, skeptical people. The story now turns to Ann Arbor, to the University of Michigan, where a doctor named Simon Levin and his colleagues took up the question. If iodine could heal a goiter, could it also prevent one from ever forming? And how could you deliver so small a dose to so many people, quietly, cheaply, every single day? The answer was almost poetic in its simplicity. Nearly everyone, rich or poor, reached for the same white crystal at every meal. Salt was already on every table in the Goiter Belt. What if the cure could be folded into the salt itself? The idea gathered around a Michigan physician named David Murray Cowie, a professor of pediatrics with a restless mind. He had read of Swiss doctors adding iodine to table salt, and he wondered why America had not done the same. He resolved to carry the notion home to his own troubled state. In 1922, Cowie stood before the Michigan State Medical Society and made his case. He proposed something that had never been done at scale in the United States, to add tiny amounts of iodine to ordinary salt and to sell it in every grocery and general store. It was less a treatment than a public act of quiet mercy. Convincing the doctors was one thing. Convincing the salt manufacturers was another. Yet the companies, to their credit, agreed and worked out how to blend potassium iodide evenly through the crystals without changing the taste or the look of what people already trusted. On the 1st of May, 1924, iodized salt appeared on the shelves of Michigan. It cost only a few pennies more, if that. A housewife could lift the round blue box, carry it home, and never guess that she held a small revolution in her hands. The results came faster than anyone dared hope. In the schools, physicians measured the necks of children year after year, keeping careful records in fountain pen script. In some counties, the rate of goiter fell from nearly 40% to a mere handful within a decade. What made it remarkable was how gentle it was. There were no hospitals filled, no dramatic operations, no bitter medicine. The cure worked while people simply lived their lives, seasoning their soups and their Sunday roasts, unaware of the science dissolving into every meal. Word spread outward from Michigan like ripples on one of its own gray lakes. Other states adopted iodized salt. Then the whole nation, and in time much of the world, followed the path first walked in Ann Arbor. A local remedy had become a quiet global inheritance. There is a photograph, somewhere in the archives, of those Michigan children lined up for their yearly checkups. They are unremarkable in every way, which is precisely the point. They would grow up sharper, healthier, freed from a burden their parents had simply endured. For the body needs iodine most in its earliest days, when the brain is still being shaped. A shortage in childhood could dull the mind as surely as it swelled the throat. By salting the tables of a state, the physicians of Michigan were, without fanfare, protecting minds not yet born. Today the old blue boxes still sit on kitchen shelves, so familiar that no one reads the small phrase printed on the side. This salt has been iodized. 4 plain words, carrying the weight of a public triumph most of us have long forgotten. It is easy to celebrate the loud inventions, the engines and the rockets and the wires. Harder to remember the ones that vanish into the ordinary, that ask nothing of us but to keep on eating. Yet those may be the truest gifts of all. So the next time you reach across the table for the salt, pause just for a moment. In that small white shaker lives an idea from a Michigan lecture hall, a century old, still working its quiet good. A pinch of genius hiding in plain sight.